A troubled history, roots of the Iran-Israel conflict. The relationship between Iran and Israel has been strained for decades. Following the Islamic Revolution in Iran in 1979, the newly established Islamic Republic withdrew its recognition of Israel. This move significantly altered the dynamics of the Middle East. Tensions further escalated with Iran's support for groups like Hezbollah, which directly challenge Israel's security. Iran's pursuit of nuclear technology has also been a major point of contention, raising concerns in Israel and the international community. The two nations have often found themselves on opposite sides of regional conflicts, further fueling animosity and mistrust. Years of animosity and mistrust have created a volatile environment where even small incidents can quickly escalate. It is within this context of deep-seated mistrust and hostility that the recent missile attacks by Iran must be understood. Rockets away Iran's recent missile strikes. In recent months, tensions between Iran and Israel have reached boiling point with a series of missile attacks. These attacks represent a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict between the two nations. Reports suggest that Iranian-backed forces, potentially operating from neighboring Syria, have launched these missiles. Targets have reportedly included Israeli military positions and facilities linked to its intelligence apparatus. The timing of these attacks is particularly noteworthy, coinciding with heightened tensions in the region. Some analysts believe that Iran is using these attacks as a show of force, aiming to deter potential Israeli or US action against its nuclear program. Regardless of the motivation, these missile attacks represent a dangerous escalation that has significantly raised the stakes in the region. On the edge, Israel's potential responses. Israel, facing these direct attacks on its soil, is now weighing its response options. The government faces immense internal pressure to act decisively and protect its citizens. One potential response is further intensification of Israel's covert operations against Iranian targets in Syria. Israel has conducted numerous airstrikes in recent years, targeting Iranian military infrastructure and weapons shipments destined for Hezbollah. This strategy allows Israel to strike at Iranian interests without necessarily provoking a full-blown war. Another option is a more overt military campaign directly targeting Iranian military assets. This could involve airstrikes on Iranian military bases, naval facilities, or even its nuclear sites. However, such a move carries significant risks, potentially leading to a wider regional conflict. Israel may also choose to respond through diplomatic channels, rallying international condemnation of Iran's actions and pushing for harsher sanctions. Finally, Israel could opt for restraint, choosing to absorb the attacks for now and avoid escalating the situation further. The American factor, a complex history and uncertain future. The United States plays a pivotal role in this volatile equation. Historically, the US has been a staunch ally of Israel, providing military aid and diplomatic support. However, the US relationship with Iran has been strained since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. The US withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal in 2018 further exacerbated tensions. The current US administration faces a delicate balancing act. On the one hand, it seeks to deter Iranian aggression and reassure its ally Israel. On the other hand, it wants to avoid getting drawn into another costly conflict in the Middle East. The US has condemned Iran's missile attacks and reaffirmed its commitment to Israel's security. It remains to be seen whether the US will take a more active role in mediating the conflict or if it will choose to remain on the sidelines. Global tinderbox, the risk of a wider war. The escalating tensions between Iran and Israel have raised fears of a wider conflagration in the Middle East. The region is already a tinderbox of geopolitical rivalries, sectarian conflicts, and proxy wars. A direct military confrontation between Iran and Israel could ignite this volatile mix with unpredictable and potentially catastrophic consequences. One major concern is the risk of the conflict drawing in regional actors. Iran has close ties to Hezbollah in Lebanon and various Shia militias in Iraq and Syria. An Israeli attack on Iran could trigger retaliatory strikes by these groups, potentially opening up multiple fronts in the conflict. The international community is acutely aware of the risks of a wider conflict. The coming days and weeks will be critical in determining whether diplomacy and cooler heads can prevail, or whether the region will descend into another devastating conflict. Economic earthquake, the global cost of conflict. Beyond the immediate human cost, a war in the Middle East would have catastrophic economic repercussions, not just for the region, but for the entire world. The global economy, already grappling with multiple crises, could be sent into a tailspin. The Middle East is a critical hub for global energy production. A significant portion of the world's oil and gas flows through the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway that Iran has threatened to close in the past. Any disruption to these energy supplies would send shockwaves through the global economy, causing oil prices to skyrocket. This would lead to increased costs for businesses and consumers worldwide, fueling inflation and potentially triggering a global recession. The economic fallout from a Middle Eastern war would be devastating, reversing years of economic progress and causing widespread hardship. A human tragedy, the looming humanitarian crisis. While the economic consequences of a war are significant, the human cost would be immeasurable. A conflict between Iran and Israel would result in a humanitarian catastrophe of unimaginable proportions, with millions of lives hanging in the balance. Both Iran and Israel possess sophisticated military capabilities, including ballistic missiles and air power. A full-scale war would inevitably result in massive civilian casualties. The humanitarian crisis would extend far beyond the borders of the two countries, potentially creating a massive refugee crisis. Millions of people could be forced to flee their homes, seeking safety and shelter in already overcrowded refugee camps. The human cost of a war in the Middle East is simply too high to contemplate. The nuclear shadow, Iran's atomic ambitions. Looming over this already volatile situation is the specter of Iran's nuclear program. Iran insists its nuclear ambitions are for peaceful energy purposes. However, Israel and much of the international community view Iran's nuclear program with deep suspicion, fearing it is covertly pursuing nuclear weapons capability. The 2015 nuclear deal, which placed strict limits on Iran's nuclear activities in exchange for sanctions relief, was designed to address these concerns. However, the US withdrawal from the deal in 2018 and the subsequent reinstatement of sanctions have reignited tensions. Iran has since resumed some of its restricted nuclear activities, enriching uranium to higher levels and installing advanced centrifuges. Finding a diplomatic solution that addresses the concerns of all parties involved is crucial to preventing a catastrophic conflict. The path to peace, the urgency of diplomacy. In this highly charged atmosphere, the need for diplomacy has never been greater. While the challenges are immense, the alternative, a catastrophic war with global ramifications, is simply unthinkable. Dialogue, however difficult, is the only viable path to de-escalation and a lasting solution. The international community must work collectively to facilitate dialogue between Iran and Israel. This will require engagement from all sides, including the United States, European powers, and regional actors. The focus should be on addressing the legitimate security concerns of both sides while seeking common ground. Diplomacy is a long and arduous process, often requiring patience, compromise, and a willingness to see beyond historical grievances. Shaping the narrative, media, public opinion, and the conflict. In this age of instant information, the media plays a crucial role in shaping public perception and understanding of the Iran-Israel conflict. How this conflict is framed, the narratives that are amplified, and the voices that are given a platform can significantly influence public opinion and consequently policy decisions. It is imperative that the media provides balanced, nuanced, and accurate coverage of the conflict. This includes providing historical context, explaining the complexities of the issues involved, and avoiding sensationalism or inflammatory language. Journalists have a responsibility to present a comprehensive picture of the situation, allowing audiences to form their own informed opinions. The media also has a responsibility to hold powerful actors accountable. By providing rigorous and independent reporting, the media can help to ensure transparency and accountability, essential elements in preventing conflict and promoting peace.